light in this room. Maybe YouTube is going. That doesn't look like it's on the up and up. We should keep this off of YouTube until there's more light in that room. I don't know. Give me 1 second.
Oh, there it is.
It seemed like that worked.
The up and up. We should.
Wait, actually, is it working now?
Yes.
More light in that room.
It literally came back for Sean to go. I guess it's not working.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
No.
All right.
It seemed like that worked.
Oh, now it's working. The up and up. Yeah, it worked. All right, now we're on YouTube.
Yes. It literally came back for Sean to go. I guess it's not working.
Oh,
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Let's see. Let me get this working now.
Take two.
It seemed
Hey.
like that worked.
All right. Oh, now it's on YouTube. Everybody on YouTube, can you see this now? We're on YouTube.
Yes.
If you can see this, if you're watching on YouTube and you can see it, please give us a thumbs up right underneath here where I'm pointing. There should be a little thumbs up thing. Just give us one of those. And I'll just reintroduce this show again. And this time we will end with Amy's story instead of starting with Amy's story. But this week's show is about weddings. And I think I'm coming up on my 2-year anniversary with Sarah, which is really exciting. You know, if we make it 3 months, it'll be a personal best. So hopefully we make it. We've been living here in Tennessee for 6 months now. A substantial part of our marriage has been living in Tennessee. So it's been a lot of fun. All right, let's start. We'll go around the room. I'll introduce the comics, and they'll each tell a little story from a wedding that they were at. Maybe it was their wedding, maybe it was somebody else's, maybe it was bachelor party, but wedding related. And then we'll get into the debate after that. So let's start with Joe Polana. Joe, your story has to do with a party, I believe.
Yeah. So my cousin got married not too long ago, and he got married in Buffalo. And for his reception, they rented out the History Museum in Buffalo. And I've had a lot of younger cousins, so we played a game of hide and go seek at the party. But I also had 15 mimosas, so like a real man. And when it was my turn to hide, I fell asleep under a stuffed buffalo, and so nobody found me. So I won the game, but I lost the night.
Yeah, I did not expect the museum party to get out of control, Joe, but you managed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A lot of your wild stories have to do with either museums or national parks.
Yeah, I've had an odd life.
Yeah, well, that's fun. All right.
Yeah.
So later on you'll be facing off against, I believe, Zach Jones, the new Zach Jones with a K. But for now, let's hear from him. Hey, Zach, how's it going, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm doing great. And I think that you said your story kind of fits into like a wild card category, right?
Yeah. So it's funny. This is something that happened to me at a wedding. I was talking about this before we went on air about how I've been to 6 weddings in my life, and at 5 of them I had some type of job to do. So I don't get to just sort of hang out at weddings very often. But the strangest and I think most surreal thing that's happened to me at a wedding was I was a best man at one of my high school best friends' wedding, and what they decided to do to open up the night was they were going to have the bride and groom were going to have a dance, and then the bridal party was going to dance with them, and then everybody else was going to come out and dance. So what ended up happening, unbeknownst to me, is when the bride and groom song stopped, and then all of the bridal party came out. The maid of honor just jetted off to be with her family and not with me. So all of the groomsmen and the bridesmaids paired off. The bride and groom are there. And then I am just standing there in the middle, all alone, as Starship's Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now plays. And it was like an existential type of like the type of feeling alone that I think you otherwise can only feel in like space.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
but luckily the mother of the bride saw what was going on, and about a minute in ran and danced with me to save me.
Oh, that's sweet of the mother
Yeah.
of the bride. That's nice.
Yeah.
I would love to have only had to go to 6 weddings in my life. That's wonderful for you, Zach. I mean, your responsibility was higher than probably most of the ones I've had to go to. But I will say the most troubling one was when a guy that I barely knew. I knew he was getting married. He told me he was getting married, and I barely knew him. And he was like, "I have to ask you an important question." And I was like, "This dude's about to ask me to be his best man." And then he asked me to be a groomsman, which was still like way higher than my responsibility should have been. Like I barely knew this guy. And he's like, "You were almost the best man, but this other guy Tom was just, just a little closer to me than you." And I was like, "This is sad." But anyways, next up, we also have James Sheehan with us tonight. James, what's going on, man? I guess you get crazy with the parties, huh?
Yeah, so I think since I've been 15, I think I've gone to at least one wedding every year. At most, I think I went to 3 last year, but a couple of years ago, I went to my first and only overseas wedding in Germany for one of my cousins. And on the day of the wedding, the plan was we were all going to meet up at this place called the Villa Kennedy in Frankfurt, which to my understanding is the nicest establishment in all of Frankfurt. It's this really extravagant hotel with all these photos of everyone who's stayed there. Like, they had a picture of Matthew McConaughey, some couple presidents. I believe Def Leppard was there.
Hell yeah.
We were also there that week. So
Hell
that,
yeah.
that just sort of sets the bar. So the plan was to meet at this hotel afternoon of the wedding while everyone was getting ready, then go to the ceremony at this church, and then come back to the hotel for the reception. So while bear in mind, this is sort of in the height of my drunk stupor phase. I just graduated college, and I noticed while we were waiting at the bar, there was this piano, and I had just gotten a degree in music, and while already like 7 or 8 beers in, I looked at it and said, you know what, no one's playing it. I'm going to get on this, and I'm going to show everybody what I learned in class piano 1 and 2, which is one finger doing this thing and one finger doing that thing. So I get on there, and to my surprise, it was going fairly well, and the family was enjoying it right up until this woman working behind the bar approaches me, and I kind of had an idea of what she was going to say, and she starts talking in these very serious tone and German, and I say one of the only 2 German phrases I knew, which was "No sprechen Sie Deutsch," which means I don't speak German. To which she immediately responded, "You need to leave." So I was escorted out of the hotel. So at that moment, it was Germany 1, James 0. But later that night, after the reception was held in a different part of the hotel, once it was over around 2 o'clock in the morning, we had to make our way back past this bar. And I noticed the bar was empty and there was still no one at the piano. So someone else in the party and myself got back on the piano, started playing again, and we caused such a ruckus that the hotel staff noticed, and they, instead of kicking us out again, sent someone back over to the bar to start serving drinks to us again. And we were there till probably 4 o'clock in the morning. I saw the sun come up that day over the main river. It was great.
Wow, yeah. So they wouldn't let you play the piano unless you drank even more, is what you're saying. Or they needed the bar to be clear enough that you weren't bothering anybody else when you're playing the piano. Maybe.
Yeah, during the day there was a large Austrian group there, so I didn't want to really, upset them with any of the German composers that, any of those composers that I knew. So
Yeah, that's a real rivalry there. So,
Yeah.
all right. Next up, we also have Chloe Cunha with us tonight. And Chloe, I believe your story has to do with a fancy castle wedding or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's a story so much as just kind of a crazy life experience. But one of my cousin, so this branch of my family, has a lot of money, and it is the most extravagant, fancy, crazy ass wedding I've ever been to. I mean, it was literally in a castle. Um, and like it's one of those things where it's hard to describe because it doesn't even feel like it really happened. The wedding invitation itself like came in a fancy box. I mean, to this day it's like came in this like blue like satin fucking box that like we just have on our coffee table now because I don't know, it looks nice. Just that was just for the invitation, so it's already like, whoa, there's gonna be a lot. And it was fun. I mean, it was a fun time. The bachelorette party was also fun, but I mean, whatever. It was basically just a bunch of drunk girls in New Orleans. It's not that exciting, but yeah, the actual wedding happened in a castle. At one point, my cousin got carried away on a horse and buggy for some reason. I don't, whatever. I guess if you have a castle wedding, you're like, "Oh, get the horse," and it didn't. And the weird thing about it is this place is also like a tourist attraction. So there were like when my cousin was like being driven away on a horse and buggy, like only to come back to another part of the castle. It didn't really make sense. There were like in a window in another window of the castle you could see tourists like looking and like taking pictures. It was very weird. It was just deeply weird, but it was cool. It's kind of nice to be wine and dine in a fancy place. Although one fun fact about that is I had oysters that night, and I got food poisoning from the oysters. So fanciest,
Oh,
yeah, the fanciest, wildest, like the desserts alone, I cannot explain. It was insane. Like I wish I had been able to like take a doggy bag of all of those desserts home because I don't they probably were just thrown out. There were too many of them.
you should have
And
brought it all back to Maggie's Lounge and we all would have had
I
a
know. I
feast.
like still think about that dessert. I mean, but yeah, fanciest wedding, worst food poisoning I've ever had.
Yeah, well, you got to watch out for those oysters. That's
They're mean. I
the
mean,
real.
they're the dicks of the sea.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what people
disgusting.
call them.
That also reminds me of like you're saying about just keeping that fancy box. Like when there's something from a
Yeah.
wedding that's just so nice that you're just like, yeah, this is just decoration in my home now.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, literally, like it's just it literally only had the invitations in it, and the invitations came in a box, which is
yeah,
whatever. It's I love my cousin. It's way too much. It's like
sure, yeah.
insane. I don't know why you need to just send an envelope. You don't need a box to
We
no
only
chocolate.
text
No
messages people.
chocolate in the box in case because you need chocolate when you tell people that you're getting married. Otherwise, it's not real.
Yeah, we sent out text messages for Sarah and I's wedding. That was the invitation. And oh, the centerpieces. You know, people give away the centerpieces at at a wedding. You know how we all have weddings,
Yeah, sure.
um,
Wedding shows. Yeah.
wedding shows. But my cousin was giving away the centerpieces, and my mother ended up with it, and she did not want it because it was a fish. It's like one of those beta fish, and she's like, "Whatever, I'll just take it home, and it'll probably die in like a week or whatever." And it lived for 7 years. But
Wow.
7 years, she didn't want a fish that she had a fish. So,
Damn. Yeah, what are
uh,
you gonna do? You can't kill a wedding fish. That's like bad luck,
no, that's
right?
bad luck. Unless they get divorced, and then you just flush it.
Yeah, you're like, all right, your time
Yeah.
is done.
Yeah. All right. We also have Joe Buckley with us tonight. Hey, Joe. I don't know what you said you decided on for which story you're going to tell, but I know you told me one that was kind of a little bit about getting sick or something.
Yeah, I was at my college roommate's wedding. I was in it. So as we all know, when you're in the wedding, your date is usually, left to fend for herself while you're with the crew or whatever. So after the ceremony, you have to go do pictures. And so she got to jump on me on cocktail hour. And she knew some other people there. So there was like, some friends to hang out with or whatever. But I didn't realize how hammered she was until like we came out, did our dance or whatever, got introduced, and then we're at the table. And she seemed okay. And then we were dancing, and it was like halfway through the night, and she went from dancing and having fun, and she was like, I'm gonna get sick. And I was like, okay, so let's go. So then we go to the women's bathroom, and she's like, you gotta come in with me. I'm like, I'm not going in with you. And she's like, you have to hold my hair. Now she's like crying in the hallway. So I was like, all right. So I get her into the bathroom. She's getting ready to, she assumed the positions, get ready to throw up in the toilet. I'm one of those people, as soon as someone starts to like gag, I start to gag. I'm not good with that. So she started to throw up, and I bolted out of her stall, ran into my stall, and I started puking. So now we're side by side. She's in her stall. I'm in my stall. We're both yakking profusely. And I wasn't even that hammered. Like I was solidly drunk, but I wasn't like throw up level drunk. And luckily the bathroom was empty, but as soon as we were going, like her entire bridal party comes walking in, and I'm like, oh god. So then I come out, I'm like, sorry, like I have my hands in the air, and I was like, she's getting sick, I'll wait for her. And then she came out, and then I sat her down because the shuttles were coming, like just starting to come to pick everybody up to bring her to the hotel. So I was like, stay here, don't move. And I told my buddy who she was with most of the time at the cocktail hour, just keep an eye on her. I grab our coats, her purse. I come back, she's not there. I go, what the hell's going on? And then I look, and they're both on the dance floor, like legless, trying to dance, but neither one of them can like. It was a complete shit show. So I pull her off the dance floor. I grabbed a cab, and she almost made it the whole cab ride. She threw up right when we pulled up to the hotel. The cab in the cab still. So that was
Oh
rough.
man.
Got her to the room, put her in there, and then when I went to the after party, everybody knew what had happened.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Wow.
I got a lot of shit after that. So it
But
was
yeah,
fun. Great
fun
time.
times.
Yeah. The after party was fun.
Hell yeah. So we got a couple more comics with us still. Next up we have Liv Serve. Hey, what's happening, Liv? How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Good. I feel like you said you had a story about a speech at a wedding.
I do. So I was in high school and I went to my cousin's wedding, and it was speech time, and this man spoke. This was a while ago, so I don't quite remember his relation, but he was a friend of the bride and groom. Not sure if he was like the best man or something. And he is just giving this speech about how my cousin, beautiful woman, how he and her used to be study buddies back in college, and how he really just loved the time that he would spend with her studying late at night. And they'd get together in the dorms, and it just like became more and more apparent like how in love this man was with my cousin, and how she had just said I do to another guy. And he's kind of closing out the story, and he's like, and then I think that maybe she and her groom had classes together, so there was already a little bit of flirting going on. But basically, he was in an elevator with my cousin, and the groom walked in, and they started kind of, chatting each other up and talking. And he goes into saying how, and that night I was really thinking about telling her, how I felt about her, but I saw her with him and I knew it wasn't my place. And, this was also a Muslim wedding, so it was completely dry. Did this out of his own volition. Completely.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he didn't even need any booze to get him to tell that story.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he stuck some stuff in, but
Yeah.
I feel like, I brought this up to other cousins. I'm like, you remember when that guy professes love during her wedding? And they're like, no. So everyone else like blocked out of their mind. They're like, this is too weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it is funny when people act like they didn't see the thing that obviously happened. I went to a wedding where it was the second wedding of the guy that was getting married. It's his second time getting married, and the best man was the same best man as the first wedding. And he ended the speech by saying, "Welcome to the family," and then the first wife's name. And everybody acted as though that didn't happen, but it definitely happened. Me and one other person in the room made eye contact and had that moment of like, "You heard that, right?"
Oh
And
my god.
nobody else ever spoke of it. So
That's
fun
crazy.
stuff. We also have Hallie Griffin with us tonight. Hey, Hal.
Hi, how's
How's
everyone
it going?
doing?
Good, good.
Good. Everyone's on mute. I don't know why I asked that. So I guess my wedding story, I can't tell if it just falls into parties or speech. But I'll just tell it. So backstory, my best friend, my childhood best friend and I, we've known each other since we were probably 6 or 7. And her mom passed away really suddenly, like really tragically, when we were both 14 years old. So her dad was a widower. And a couple years later, he met my friend's French teacher at a parent-teacher conference, and they hit it off and they started dating. And my friend did not like that. So they actually ended up getting married when we were both just had turned 21 years old. And my friend was really upset. So I was like, "Do you want to get super drunk for the first time with me at this open bar at your dad's wedding?" And she was like, "Yes." So we both just got like on the floor plastered, and whatever, they're all totally fine now. But kind of the kicker of the story, I got very drunk and I was very emotional. I was really happy for her dad and her now stepmom, because they both had like really difficult marriages, really difficult lives up till that point. And I noticed there was a bowl where people were writing stuff and dropping it in the bowl. So I was like, that must be the comments bowl. I'm going to write down all the thoughts that you would only express to somebody when you're super drunk about how much I love both of them and their families, and like how happy I am for them and their union. It was a very long note, and I was like crying when I wrote it. And I dropped it in the bowl. And then my parents had to take me home, and I was like, "Did you guys write anything in the comments bowl?" And they were like, "What comments bowl?" And I was like, "The little bowl where you like write stuff like how happy you are for them." And they were like, "That's a donation bowl. Like you're supposed to put like how much you want to donate to the charity that they chose." Did you? And that's my story. They're all very happy now.
Well, that's nice. And you know, you can donate pleasant thoughts, I suppose. There's nothing wrong with that.
People can eat those, right? Or use them. I think it was an educational charity.
Yeah. All right. And lastly, but not leastly, we also have Amy Rubin with us. And Amy, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, but you've been to maybe the most weddings in this whole group.
36.
36, yeah.
Yep. I've been a bridesmaid 9 times and been de-bridesmaided twice.
Oh, I don't even know how that happens, but congrats.
We'll talk about it later.
Okay, cool. So your story has to do with your own wedding, right?
Yeah, and it's in the wild card category, a human wild card, I would say. And this person who attended my wedding was a wrecking ball from the moment it started. It started with more minor offenses like arriving to the ceremony wasted and barging in the doors right before I walked down the aisle after the music had started playing. Not a big deal compared to the other things. As the night went on, she got drunker and drunker, of course, and we're dancing, everyone's having a good time. She dances over like this with red wine in her hand and proceeds to fling red wine all over my husband, the groom. Not like a little spill, like she might as well have dumped it over his head, because it was from hair to shoes, like all over the white shirt, the tux, everything. So we basically had to like launder his entire outfit and body with him in it during the reception. We managed to do that somehow, but later that night, I did experience her trying to follow us back to the hotel afterwards. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is actually something I found out later, and it's probably a good thing that I didn't find out at the event. But I heard from multiple reliable sources that she spent the entire reception crying hysterically, running around to various tables and crying to anyone who would listen. That was supposed to be me. It was supposed to be me with him. What was the plan?
Oh man, that is brutal.
And now I pretend she's dead.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I wouldn't probably invite her over for anything. Seems like there might be some issues there. But and I have to tell this story because I know Joel's watching. This has to do with Joel's wedding. And I don't know if any of you other people that are in this group right now have had any similar experiences because you're all involved in comedy. But when my friend Joel Rayberg got married, I went there and watched the vows, and then I left for a comedy show, and then I came back again in time to have cake and dance. And I feel like I'm not the only comics that's done this, but if anybody else wants to chime in so that I don't look like so terrible, then feel free. No, just me. Okay. And Amy's been to 36
hey, I
weddings.
invited 2 comics to my wedding, Sean, and neither one of them showed up. So.
Oh, well,
yeah.
it wasn't me. So
No,
I'm a little bit, I'm hurt. I would have showed up probably, even though I don't love weddings, but all right, let's get started on the debate tonight. So we have 8 comics debating. There'll be 3 rounds. Each round, there are 5 categories that the comics can choose from. They all have to do with weddings. They are proposal, bachelor, bachelorette party, speeches, honeymoon, wild card. So comics will be able to pick from any one of those categories, and whoever wins will move on. They'll each have 1 minute followed by a 30-second rebuttal. And then I'll choose a winner. I am the only judge. And if you agree with me, you can write in the comments, yay, Sean's a genius, or something like that. I think Sarah has a sound effect to go along with when I make the right decision. And if you disagree with me, you can write in the comments, boo, I hate you, Sean, whatever you want to write. And I believe Sarah also has a booing sound effect to go along with that she might play when I make the wrong call. All right, so let's get started tonight. Our first matchup will be between Zach Jones and Joe Polana. So, Zach, do you want to go first or second?
I will go second.
Okay, Joe, you can. Zach Jones with a K, Joe Polana. You're going first. What category would you like? You could go with proposal, bachelor, bachelorette party, speeches, honeymoon, or wild card.
Let's go. Let's start off with a wild card.
Wild card. Okay. So your question is, you are not having an open bar at your wedding reception. Is that because you can't handle the expense, or because your friends can't handle their liquor?
Oh boy, I mean, those really go hand in hand, don't they? No, I mean, I think I'm doing it out of spite. Is that an option? That anyone who's supporting me and getting married deserves to be punished. So I will not let them get drunk on my dime. Yeah, I'm gonna do a heel turn. I'm gonna embrace late stage capitalism. If they wanted to drink at my wedding, they should have worked harder. They should have married my wife. They should. They don't deserve it. So no, it's I'm not paying for it. So that's where I'm going with it. I trust them fine. They're lovely people, but moochers and filth.
Okay. I'm not sure exactly which side's my side now, but I think it's not. The problem isn't that my friends can't handle their alcohol. The problem is that they can handle it extremely well, to the point where I am not going to be able to pick up this bar tab at the end of the night. That they're like if your friends can't handle their alcohol, then you know it's nap time on the dance floor, and that's a few less bottles that they have to use. But in fact, my friends are all you know, terrible people for whom alcohol consumption is just sort of status quo, and then a wedding is when you drink to a certain amount of regularity, then you need to drink like 3 times as much so you're actually celebrating anything, you know. So they're gonna
Oh, so I think we've both changed the rules of this debate many times. But yeah, no, I don't think my friends deserve anything from me. They are blessed with my wedding. They have had to buy their own Klingon and Star Trek outfits at their own expense as well. So
time.
Okay, yeah, I agree with Joe that the plot is lost at this point. I don't know how you're going to decide on this, but trust in me, because I am the only one right now who is drinking a cocktail while everybody else, this is cocktail hour, the only time in every wedding that you can drink for free. The first round is cocktail hour, and I'm the only one drinking, and I'm the only one in a suit. What happened to everybody else? Did you guys not get your invitations where it's his formal attire?
Time. All right. Hey, a lot of good points here, and it's tough to choose a winner for multiple reasons, one of which I am not actually sure which side either of you are on. But in the end, I think I have to hand the win to Zach Jones. So that actually kind of reminds me a little bit of Sarah and my wedding. And maybe Sarah will be able to answer this more accurately, but we had an open bar because we just got married at a brewery, that's all. And so we were just like, let's just have the open bar and whatever. And they give you a minimum, right? Like they were like, you need to sell like $7,000 worth of beer during your event. And we were like, okay, like our friends, we invited like only like 60 people, but we were like, I bet over the course of a night, our friends might drink that. In the first hour, the brewery came over to us and was like, you guys have spent that already. Do you want to keep this open? And you're like, yeah, whatever. People are having fun. But yeah, people can drink. That's the point. I have Zach-like friends is what I'm saying. They drink so much normally that when it's a special occasion, they have to amp it up a little more. All right. Next up, our next debate will be between, let's see, I gotta look at the lineup here. It will be between Chloe Cunha and James Sheehan. So, Chloe, do you want to go first or second?
Let's go second.
Okay. James, you can pick from proposal, bachelorette party or bachelor party, speeches, or honeymoon.
Let's do parties.
Okay. So your parties question is from Zach Jones.
Which one?
And he asks, more important to a bachelor or bachelorette party, drugs or strippers?
Well, I mean, drugs are just an important part to everyday life. So, I mean, it's got to be strippers. Because, I mean, you need to use this opportunity to just have one more wild time. And this would actually be a good time to bring up the one time I went to a strip club. And without naming names, we went to this certain city where gambling is a big highlight. And we went to the older part of it. And the strip club may or may not have been called the Glitter Gulch. And I got to see a stripper light a man's cigarette with her nipples. And to this day, it's still really like I've been pondering it, and then I discovered a friend who's connoisseur of the strip club and science explained to me that it was magnesium strips on her piercings, on her nipples, and that's some type of science that you can only experience in a strip club.
Right on. Well, listen, I mean, you say the drugs are part of your everyday life. Strippers could be part of your everyday life. I think you just lack imagination. I mean, whatever. Yeah, look, a lot of people do drugs in their day to day. All the more reason why you don't want it to lack at your party, you know? I mean, personally, I think you also got to wonder what kind of drugs are you doing? Because there are a whole lot of them up there and there are different tiers. And, there are bachelorette drugs and there are regular everyday drugs, I mean, you gotta bust out. You gotta, let's get wild. I mean, where's the mescaline? I don't know. Let's do some, ayahuasca. Why not? You get married. Look, I'm not providing the drugs. I don't know how to get any of them, and I'm probably not even doing them. But I think, look. The strippers, that's fine. We all have them.
So listen, I mean, my version of hard drugs is probably ibuprofen and melatonin. So I don't need to be giving any more of my money to Big Brother Pharmaceutical. I need to be giving, my hard-earned money to hardworking sex workers who can light cigarettes on fire with their nipples. And we'll smile at you and say, how you doing? And I'll be like, great. And they're like, what's your name?
Listen, James, we get it. You've been to a strip club. It's nice. So have I. Whatever. It's not special. That's just a Tuesday. That's what I'm saying. Ayahuasca, what about those hardworking shamans? They need the money. Yeah. You ever think about them? Okay. What about your spiritual awakening? All right. Let's do it. Let's see some trees devour our spirits. Why not? That's what marriage is about. It's about seeing a wild buffalo talk you into marriage and love.
All right. Well, a lot of good points here, but only Chloe described my bachelor party perfectly. So I have to hand the win to Chloe Cunha here.
Which part was the perfect description?
The buffalo explaining why I should get married. Of course, that's why. But Chloe, you had talked before about going to a strip club during a bachelorette party.
Yes, it was actually the rich cousin that I was.
Oh.
And the part of that joke that I tell is 100% real. She did get a lap dance from a man named Temptation. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, lots of fun. I've been to too many bachelor parties, and it's always. It's fine if it's at a strip club, whatever, but when you get them to the house, not a good time. It's too, you don't want to bring them into where you live. And I find there's three types of guys at the party too, right? Like your friends, like you have your friends that are way too into it. Then you have your friends that are hanging out because it's just a party and they're just there for their buddy and whatever. And then you have your friends that leave because there's strippers coming and they can't be around that sort of thing. And yeah, that's not a great sign, right?
You know what? I'll say like a male strip club is like weirdly wholesome. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't know. I mean, that was my experience. I was also the gay one, so I was like, ooh, how neat! Look at that. They're so sweaty. I don't know. It was. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. So moving on to our next debate. That's what we're supposed to be doing now, instead of me just telling old stories. Our next debate will be between Amy Rubin and Liv Serve. So, Amy, do you want to go first or second?
I'll go second, please.
Okay, so Liv, you can pick between proposal, speeches, or honeymoon.
Okay, I would like to pick proposals, please.
Okay. Your question is from Ken Green, and he asks, you've decided the Jumbotron is the best way to ask your partner to marry you. should their answer either way also be posted on the Jumbotron?
Yes, of course. First of all, the reason why I'm putting it on the Jumbotron is because I want a fucking audience for this. I mean, I'm here on a Friday night doing virtual Zoom comedy, okay? I clearly like the spotlight. I like the attention. And God damn it, my partner better at least be a little bit okay with it, because if they're gonna be with me, woof, they better be. And yeah, I'm not just gonna leave my audience hanging like that, all right? Like, what, I mean, if they say yes, fantastic, great, joyous occasion for the both of us. But if I'm proposing to someone who's gonna say no, I deserve that public shame. Like, why didn't I have a little chit chat with them, you know, maybe in the weeks before, like, so this is leading to marriage, yes? And then they'd be like, I would think so, yes. And I'd be like, maybe kind of soon. And they'd be like, I would say yes if you proposed. So I kind of think anyone who gets a no in a public proposal doesn't have clear communication with their partner. They deserve the shame.
All right, I'm gonna say no for a couple of reasons. Reason number one being personal experience, which is when I was proposed to, I was silent for, depending on who you ask, whose perspective you're viewing this from, maybe 3 or 4 seconds. For me, 5 to 7 hours for my husband, who was waiting for an answer. So I don't think we need an audience for that. Also, there would have just been silence on the Jumbotron. I don't know how you reflect that. Secondly, I have also found that whoever finds out that you are having a wedding is going to have an opinion, and they're going to expect an invitation. And by that token, you will have the entire stadium, assuming they will be invited, asking questions, providing opinions, and perhaps requesting to be in the bridal party. Time.
Okay, so here's the issue with Amy's argument. Like, if everyone's going to be asking to go to your wedding and you had said no, then like they all know not to ask. They're like, ooh, awkward, that's bad. And then they can make fun of you either to your face or behind your back. But at least they aren't asking to go to a wedding that isn't even going to happen, you know? There's also the issue of, you know, just maybe play along for a few seconds and then be like, oh, actually, we decided not to do it. Also, I mean,
I think an audience full of people is going to assume a mob mentality, and they will not take this wishy-washy, oh, we might not do it for an answer. They will demand a date. They will request to do a flash mob. They will ask if they can bring not only +1, but they want to bring their neighbor, their third Tinder date of the week, and their cousin, and they will not RSVP, and you will end up with an entire stadium of un-RSVP wedding guests.
All right, a lot of good points here. I feel like you guys both represented your sides well, but this is one of those rare times where I think it was better to go first because you get the better side. I want to see the answer either way on the Jumbotron. I got to hand the win here to Live Serve. And Amy, I know you said that it took 3 to 4 seconds for you to think about it, and you know what? I want to see those 3 to 4 seconds where you're thinking. I got to tell you, I know you said it would be silent, but we could still see on your face, like, is she thinking about it, or is she thinking, how am I going to get out of this? I would rather see it either way. All right, so Liv will be moving on to the next round, and next up tonight will be between Hallie Griffin and Joe Buckley. So, Hallie, do you want to go first or second?
Second, please.
Second. Okay, Joe, you can pick between speeches and honeymoon.
Give me speeches.
Okay. Your question is from Katie Dungar, and she asks, the bride's father called the groom by the wrong name during his toast. Do you pretend nothing is wrong or use the groom's name at every opportunity during your toast?
It's his money, so you shut the hell up and you pretend it didn't happen. Okay. The reason why you have an open bar is because of that man. The reason why you got to choose between fish and steak is because of that man. So you shut up with a smile on your face and you just pretend the thing never happened. If you're the groom, you definitely shut up and you just try to enjoy the night and ignore it. Look, my mom called my wife by the wrong name on our engagement party that was at her house. And we immediately laughed and moved on, and no one spoke of it again. That's it.
Dot.
All right. So 2 points. One, how do we know that the father who misused the groom's name, is not some Joe Polana, like evil fat cat figure that provided everybody with an open bar? Maybe he's just drunk and angry on his own account. Everybody else has to pay for their drinks and food, and he's just using this as an opportunity to shame his new son-in-law who works in fucking libraries or some shit that he doesn't approve of. I don't know. What's the thing people don't approve? Libraries, art, comedy. Maybe his son-in-law is a comedian and he doesn't approve of it. Two, I don't really have enough romantic partners for my parents to confuse them with somebody else. So if my dad misuses the wrong guy's name, oh boy, am I going to take personal offense to that. Like, why are you bringing up my boyfriend from high school?
Dot.
Yeah, you should always publicly shame your son-in-law. I mean, that's just how life works. That's just how it goes. You're banging my daughter, fuck you. And then you just constantly shred him, call him by the wrong name. Look, my brother-in-law is like an 18th Cuban. My dad doesn't let him forget it, okay? He says he's been in this country his parents have been in this country, and he still shreds them at every opportunity he has because he is not a full-blooded American, and neither are we.
Why would a father care who his daughter is having sex with? Does he want to have sex with his own daughter? Burn. What? I don't know. I don't get this patriarchal like obsession with who's sticking it to my kid. What's up with that? I don't care. Go rail anybody you want. I support you because I love you. And I want you to be happy with your husband, who is, I am calling by the correct name. Time.
Oh, all right. A lot of good points here. I first I did like the father when he had the open bar going, but then Hallie shut it down. It's true he may not have bought all of the drinks for everybody, and in that case, I think it's not good to be calling the groom by the wrong name. So I have to hand the win here to Hallie Griffin. She'll be going on to the next round.
This is the closest I've ever been to getting married.
I got to be a villain, so I'm happy.
You'd like that, Joe. I thought you would like being called a villain.
I will say, I know that we don't really use props on this show very often, but the like sound effect of opening your drink right when you finish was nice. It was.
Thank you.
I don't know.
Yeah, I would say that really pushed it over the edge there.
Thank you.
All right, so we got 2 matches till the finals. So to see who's going to go to the finals, we'll start with Zach Jones and Chloe Cunha. So I think, Zach, do you want to go first or second?
I will continue going second.
Okay, so Chloe, you can pick from any category that you'd like. We have proposal, parties, speeches, honeymoon, wild card.
Yeah, tough. Let's go with honeymoon. I don't think we've done that yet, right? I don't think we've done that one.
We have not done honeymoon yet. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so this is another question from Katie Dungar, and she asks, better foreplay at the honeymoon, taking out all 200 pins out of the bride's hair, or putting Band-Aids on the groom's rental shoe-induced blisters?
Aw.
I mean, this is an obvious one. I mean, taking out all the hairpins, at least you're like, ooh, your hair is coming under. You're literally letting your hair down. The other one is like, let me bandage your wounds. I don't know. That's like, and also boo hoo, like, oh, your shoes, your fucking feet hurt once in your life. Fuck you. I put a bandage on last week. Like, my feet hurt all the fucking time. I don't even wear heels that much. Our shoes are designed to be painful. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't no, that's I don't care about that. I'm not healing anybody. I think, you know, if I get married, then my wife could put on her own band-aids. Taking out the bobby pins, that might take work. That's, you know, I'm gonna plop down behind her. I'm gonna be like one of those little monkeys, like, you know, finding gnats in people's hair. It's you know, less tasty, but iron, that's good. You need that. I'm gonna take all those bobby pins out, and it's gonna be like every time we remove a bobby pin, I'll take off a piece of clothing. We'll make it sexy. I don't know, whatever. You know, like we're probably both gonna fall
Yeah.
asleep before we have sex anyway.
Okay, so first, Sean, I don't know who you think is still going on their honeymoon immediately after the wedding. That's like a very much like a 1960s movie type thing. I feel like everybody else I know like waits now. But I would say, yeah, no, it's gonna be. Listen, I think a lot of people would find the whole taking the bobby pins out of the hair thing as kind of like a nice thing. They enjoy it. It's sort of it gets them going on like a, you know, they like it. It's nice. And I think I agree with Chloe that most people will not find enjoyment in the whole bandaging of the feet thing. But there is a small number of people for whom the feet thing is going to be very much a thing. So if we're just going in terms of range of outcomes possible, the feet thing is going.
I mean, this question is perfect for me because my girlfriend hates feet. I think if she could not have them, she would prefer that. Hooves, she'd be wild about that. She'd love that. So no, we're definitely not doing that. Also, even foot fetishists, I don't think bleeding is usually one of their, like, you know, and if blood is your thing, bobby pins, you can poke someone. I mean, you can poke an eye out if you're not careful. You know, just I don't know if they're dangerous. Look, blood and pus, not really my cup of tea. And it's about her personal preferences. So Zach, please explain how much you love blood and pus.
It's not me. It's my husband Quentin Tarantino is really into this stuff. Really, actually, every Tarantino movie is just blood and guts and feet. So it would be perfect for our when we consummate our vows. Time.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, a lot of great points. However, I think if it's something that Quentin Tarantino enjoys, then I am against it, and that for that reason, I have to hand the win to Chloe Cunha here.
Wow, I really thought you were going to win that, Zach, and you lost, and at what cost? I'm so sorry. I'm wounded by your answer. Oh, the thought of marrying Quentin Tarantino. Oh.
Ugh, so gross.
Pretentious wedding.
I feel like you should have won that just for that alone, but you know what? I defer to Sean's judgment.
I don't want to hear the wedding speeches at Quentin Tarantino's wedding. That's all I know. So next up, to find out who will be facing Chloe in the finals, it'll be Liv Serve and Hallie Griffin. So Liv, would you like to go first or second?
Oh, I'll go first, please.
Okay, great. And what category would you like? You can pick anything but honeymoon.
Okay. We haven't done speeches, right?
We've done one from speeches, but we can return to it.
Let's do it again.
Okay, so your question is from Zach Jones. And he asks, you got ordained so that you can officiate a wedding. Do you base your sermon on a religious text or a beloved rom-com?
All right, so personally, I'm picking the beloved rom-com, pretty much because all my friends they don't really lean towards that religious side, and I definitely have seen far more rom-coms than I have Bibles. Also, just like material for speaking about love and a loved one, I feel like the rom-com kind of has more to that. Like, sure, the Bible kind of talks about love, but it's like boring love, It's like the love that God gives you, and most of that love seems to be like hate. He's like, oh, you guys didn't love me properly. Here's a flood. Here's some locusts. And I think that's a little rude. Whereas a rom-com, if they don't feel loved properly, there's a breakup. There's a great montage, and then they get back together. Maybe there's even a Jumbotron proposal. Who's to say? I don't know. But that definitely doesn't happen in the Bible or any other religious text. Now, I am maybe just being a little like Christiano-centric with this, but I don't know a lot about anything else. Less than anything else than I do Christianity. But rom-coms speak a lot.
So speaking as somebody who actually is ordained as a minister and did so because she wanted to officiate her brother's wedding with a woman he is no longer engaged to because he met the actual woman of his dreams, rom-com style, I'm going to go with religious texts because I feel like most rom-coms kind of follow the same formula, like guy and girl together, they're wrong for each other, they meet a right person, and then they run to the airport, and then they like get the right person, and then that movie just kind of ends. Sean did not specify which religious text we had to use. It doesn't have to be the Bible. It can be like Rastafarianism, Scientology, the flying spaghetti monster religion. I don't know, I think it's pretty racist, but there's a lot of creative ways you can go with your religious text. What's other religion? Judaism, but that's real.
Time.
That's all well and good, but I think there is no higher power than, Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston. I yield my time.
I think there's several. I don't think either of those people are A-listers anymore. I think they're both like solid B-lister producers who are married or were married to like A-listers. I don't know. Vince Vaughn, has he ever written? I don't know. I'm trying to think of a Lovecraft text. I'm just stuck on Lovecraft. I don't know why. I fucking hate Lovecraft. Other religions. What's another religion? Hinduism? That's a cool one. It's got some cool mythology. There's lots of wedding toasts you could come up with based on
time. All right. Well, I think Liv, you lost me at Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston. Of all the rom-com couples to put together, I would have even accepted Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon since they did 4 Christmases together, and that's a wonderful.
I wouldn't have expected Vince Vaughn and Reese
What's your guys' favorite rom-coms?
What's that?
What's your guys' favorite rom-coms?
You could have gone with something with Julia Roberts. I mean, her and Hugh Grant did Notting Hill together. That's a good one.
Oh, that is a good one.
Yeah.
Bridget Jones's Diary is, I think, my favorite. I don't know why I'm talking. I haven't eaten today. I'm sorry.
You both failed to mention the Quran.
Fuck.
Didn't mention the Quran. Fuck.
That's like one of the big ones.
That's rom-com, yes.
Big rom-com for sure.
Yeah. Beloved rom-com.
I loved Hugh Grant in the Quran.
He's one of the pillars.
Are the ultimate rom-com pair?
Tough to choose somebody here. Okay. No, you know what? We'll decide this right now by asking the two of you, what is the best rom-com pair? Let's just do that. So, Hallie, let's start with you. Who do you think is the best rom-com pair?
God, I'm like thinking. Sorry, the childhood part of me, it is going to be Bridget Jones and Mark Darcy. I don't know. I love Colin Firth so much, and I like that Bridget Jones was just like this really cute, kind of normal-looking girl who just like wrote funny stuff in her diary all the time. I think they were a very endearing couple. I really like them.
Okay, Liv, you got to top Bridget Jones and
Mark Darcy.
Whatever. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to go with the nail technician and the mailman in Legally Blonde. That was a fucking great B plot. Not only did the nail technician have to go like break up with her ex and get the dog back with Elle's help, but that mailman was fucking fine. Hot.
All right. Well, hey, tough call here, but I think I'm gonna have to hand the win to Liv Serve, as she seemed a little bit more ready to cough up rom-com names. And so let's do no contest now. This will decide what the final question of the night is, or the final question of the bracket will be. So I'm gonna read them off now. If you're in the Zoom meeting here, just give me a thumbs up if you like the question, if you want me to ask the question now of the finalists. And if you don't like the question, feel free to give it a thumbs down, I guess. But one of these will be the question for the finals. So the first one is from Alyssa Gang. And Alyssa asks, if I was born 9 months after my parents' wedding, was I an accident? The next one's from Katie Dungar, who asks, better place to consummate the marriage, the bathroom at the reception hall or the jacuzzi at the honeymoon suite? Okay, that one has some support. All right, cool. This one's from Zach Jones. Zach Jones. He asks, if you could permanently remove one wedding tradition forever, which would it be? When the bride's father gives her away to be married, or when the bride and groom feed each other cake? Okay, that one's got some support too. All right, cool. And last option here, this one's from Steve Albert, and he asks, you decide to get married at the place where you first met, but you're still banned for life. Do you risk it? Okay. All right, that one's getting some support too. I feel like that it's a great question, but it doesn't have a like two real different options. It's just kind of a yes or no. So for that reason, I think we'll go with a different one. But anyways, our last matchup here will be between Chloe Cunha and Liv Serve. So Chloe, do you want to go first or second?
Ooh, I'm gonna go first. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Let's go with Zach Jones's question here, which is, if you could permanently remove one wedding tradition forever, would it be when the bride's father gives her away to be married, or when the bride and groom feed each other cake?
Okay, so there's a huge spider on my bed, but I'm going to ignore it and answer this question. And I feel very passionately about it. I'm just going to move this way. I feel very passionately about it. It's got to be the giving the bride away. First of all, not everybody has a dad. For a lot of reasons, the dad could be dead. The dad could have not even been a factor. Maybe this person was raised by 2 women. Maybe this person was raised by 4 women. Maybe this person was raised by a commune of hippie polyamorous women. Okay. Don't need a dad necessarily. It's outdated. It's a little bit weird because the implication is like, here, I'm giving you to have sex now, symbolically. And it's like, no, we've been having sex. You know that. Let's not ignore that. Like, it's weird. Look, the commune of lesbians need to be accepted in society. And I don't know where the spider went. I'm very scared of it. But you know what? Fuck, I'm going to trudge on. That spider cannot hurt me, and nor can the patriarchy. The spider, maybe. I don't think it's poisonous.
All right. You know what? In the age of coronavirus, we need to reevaluate some of the shit that we've been doing at weddings. And that includes taking a spoonful of cake. You use your own personal spoon to scoop up the big cake that everyone else is going to eat. Or even worse, you grab it with your dirty wedding hands. I mean, I know you're not going to the bathroom. I mean, maybe you are going to the bathroom and washing up, but you're so in love, you're gonna touch your new spouse, right? So I'm thinking, especially nowadays, we need to cut out any tradition that really circulates around food. The other thing is, maybe you're kind of an asshole and you want to push that cake into your lover's face. First of all, if you're, say, someone spent a ton of time doing their makeup, and then boom, pictures ruined for the rest of the night. And a lot of people spend a lot of money on wedding dresses and on suits, and you don't want to have to get out your Tide to Go stick. This isn't Amy's wedding. We don't want.
Okay, if you're worried about your spouse being an asshole, then I think you've made a bad decision and it's nothing to do with cake. I think cake is great. Everybody loves to eat fucking cake. It's a cutesy fucking thing. We should stop taking like annoying pictures about it. That's why everybody wants to shove cake in their faces so that way you can have the picture where they're like, I'm smiling, but there's cake on my face. That's stupid. But yeah, feed me cake, feed me anything, feed me steak. It rhymes. I'm a poet. Listen. I defeated the spider, so I'm feeling really good. Um, it's destroyed. I mean, I could show it to you. You don't need to see it. I probably shouldn't have destroyed it, but you know what? Love is complicated, and I think you don't got to give the lady away. It's silly. It's outdated. You know.
Exactly. The only reason people want to push cake into each other's faces is so they can get the little photo op. And that's not what marriage is about. Marriage is about love, not Instagram likes. We need to throw away all that bullshit surrounding it, okay? We got to get rid of the cake thing. It sucks. And wedding cake, we all know it's not that good. We're gonna just make a little artisanal cake.
Yeah. All right. A lot of great points, but as you all know, there's no way that I could choose a winner in this final debate. I need you guys to do it. So go into the Pick a Side Stupid Facebook group right now and choose your winner. There's a poll at the top of the page where you can choose either Chloe Cunha or Liv Serve as the winner for the night. And as we're waiting for votes to roll in, I feel like we should revisit some of our debaters from earlier in the night, put them in some matchup against each other, so that we can have some more fun while we wait for these votes to roll in. So let's have Joe Polana and James Sheehan first to face off against each other. And what I'll do is, Joe, you can choose whether you go first or second, but if you go first, I'll read you all of the questions that are left from one of these categories, and you can tell me which of those questions you want to answer. Or you can go second and let your opponent do that.
I'm going to go second still, I think. I'm going to regret it.
Okay, James, what category would you like to go with here?
Let's do wild card, Sean.
Wild card. All right. So you have 3 options for the question that you'd be answering. So just let me know which one of these you'd rather answer. The first one's from Ken Green, and he asks, worst part of a destination wedding, shelling out all the cash to get there, or that you're still expected to give a gift? Your second option for a question is from James Sheehan. This is your own question. You could answer it if you want. It says, you and a +1 are invited to your ex's wedding. Do you go alone or bring a date? And the last one is from Ken Green, who asks, most misleading wedding title, best man or bridesmaid? So, which one of those questions would you like to answer, James?
I'm going to go with Ken's second question about misleading titles.
Okay. So yeah,
what was it?
So what's the most misleading wedding title, best man or bridesmaid?
It's definitely best man, because the best man is the one getting married. And but you know, what's his job? You got 2 jobs: to give a speech and to present rings, and just make sure the the groom stays alive, which is also like that's been the job of the bride pretty much like already. So like you're not, you know, the workload's not really like bridesmaids need to be there for the bride. Like they help each other out, they get everything organized. The best man's just like, yo, we still doing this? And it's just there's zero effort in being a best man. You could do everything the day of. It's misleading.
I think my opponent has not been following the news as of late. The bar for being the best man is really on the ground. It's very easy to be the best man in most groups of men. We're horrible animals. But a bridesmaid is very misleading because if I remember the 12 Days of Christmas, it involves milking. And I've never been to a single wedding where anyone was milked. And I don't think I would enjoy that. I don't think anyone would. So it's a very misleading title. And if you're against that, you're against Christmas. Ball's in your court.
Listen, Joe, it's not my fault if you've never been to a wedding at Peaceful Meadows on Route 18, or you've never been up to Ben and Jerry's or the Hood Factory out off of Exit 6 in Springfield. That's just, you know, you gotta branch out. Like milking is really hard. I don't know if like breastfeeding is tough. Milking a cow is tough. That as a bridesmaid, if that's one of your duties, it fits the title. Best man. To where in the 12 Days of Christmas does a man do anything? Leap? Anyone can leap.
Yeah, the best man leaps the highest. That's all that is. That's how you select your friend. That's the best jumper, and you're done. It's very leading, not misleading. Very accurate title. Milking is, I'm gonna go with easy. Apparently, I think it's very easy to milk a cow. I've done it constantly. I can't stop, and yeah, no, nothing to it.
All right. Well, you know, I can't pick a winner here. I think you're both wonderful. But I will say that milking a cow is not easy. That's something that you learn when you move to Tennessee. And not that I've been milking cows, just people tell me how difficult it is.
If I could double back.
All right.
Real quick. So I guess anyone else familiar with Peaceful Meadows besides possibly Sean and Joe?
Of course. Yeah.
All right. So then we got two Joes. So you know how there are cows there, like at Peaceful Meadows? Do you know that those cows are just there for show? None of the milk that those cows provide actually go to the ice cream shipped from someplace else. It's all
they're a bunch of phonies.
I know, right?
Yeah, haven't you? Oh, you weren't around when I used to protest in front of there about how they're phonies. I made signs and I called them out. I said, "You're all a bunch of phonies with your cows."
Driving on the other side of Route 18.
You were the Mark David Chapman of Peaceful Meadows.
All right. Next debate. We have Amy Rubin and Joe Buckley to face off against each other. And Amy, you can either go first and choose the category and the question from that category, or you can go second and let Joe choose.
I'll go first.
Okay, so you can go with, what was the one that we just did? The
something about milking cows.
Yeah.
Misleading title is what you just did.
Okay, so which category would you like?
What are the choices again?
Proposal, bachelor, bachelorette party, speeches, honeymoon, or wild card.
I'll go with speeches.
Okay, so there's 2 questions in the speeches category. You could choose either of them. And the first one is from Ken Green, who asks, worst speech at the reception, your racist uncle or your drunk ex? Or your other option is from, oh, this one's from me. Worst wedding speech. This is a pretty basic one, but one that's too short or one that's too long.
I'll go with the second one.
Okay, so what's the worst wedding speech? One that's too short or too long?
Definitely too long. And while I agree that best man is a misleading title and bridesmaids do a shit ton of work and they're an underappreciated segment of society, best man groomsmen speeches tend to be very short, simple. Cheers to the bride and groom. However, if you have ever heard a maid of honor speech, it starts the same way. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Amy and I've known the bride since, and we go on a journey. We start with kindergarten. When we first met, we reached for the same glue and I knew my life would never be the same. And then in first grade, and we go all the way through college. We 7 minutes in, the light's showing, the person's blowing past the red light, and we're only in 11th grade, and the bride is 29. So I think we get lost in all of the years that happen when we go through every formative memory, always an inside joke.
Yeah, I don't think long speeches are that big of a deal because I feel like everybody expects them to be long because how else would anyone know that you care that much, you know? You have to make it about yourself. That's what speeches are about. And every single one is like, oh, you look so great. You're the bride. Oh, isn't she stunning? And, you know, I want something, I appreciate a long one because you can sit there and just kind of, you know, sip your drink and who gives a shit. It's the short ones that you're like, wow, this person doesn't give a shit, you know, or they got invited like Sean's buddy to be the best man and he's known him for like 2 weeks. So it just turns a sad set of affairs. And everyone's just like, wow, did you catch that speech? It was terrible. You know, long ones just kind of like, yeah, whatever we're going to do.
All right. All right, when our speeches get long, we get a little loose-lipped. I cannot count the number of times that I have heard, you know, either a best man or a maid of honor, you know, talk about, oh, remember when you guys were hooking up and we were roommates and we ran into each other in the kitchen? Oops, sorry, Dad, sorry, father of the bride, didn't mean to share that one. We get into dangerous territory and we start revealing many, many stories that perhaps the bride and groom would not want shared with their great grandmother.
Yeah, I think every wedding I've been to, they've been long and it didn't bother me, but it would bother me more if like someone was like, hey, did you catch the best man speech? And they're like, what, he talked? Like if everyone just missed it because they were coming back from the bathroom or something. That's got to be 1,000 times worse than anything long and stupid and inside jokey. As if everyone missed your speech because it was that short and that's how little they care about you.
Time. All right, lots of good points. And hey, you're both winners. You know, I think there's no way that I could choose here, and you're both wonderful. And thanks for doing it. All right, let's do one more matchup, and then we'll check in with the voting, see who everybody voted for. If you haven't voted yet, go to the Pick a Side Stupid Facebook group and put in your vote for our finalists tonight. So our final debate while we wait for the voting will be between Hallie Griffin and Zach Jones. So Hallie, would you like to go first or second?
I'll go second.
Okay, Zach, what category would you like?
Wild card, is that around? I don't know. What's left?
Okay, wild card is one that I already read the questions from, which was like
okay. Then do a different one.
Yeah,
choose one that you haven't.
Proposal, bachelorette party, or honeymoon?
Let's do proposal.
Proposal, okay. So you have 3 options here.
Okay.
The first one's from Katie Dungar, who asks, bigger choking hazard, a ring in a glass of champagne or a ring baked into your dessert? The next option is you decide to propose at Disney World, do you do it in front of the castle during the fireworks show, or on a roller coaster at the big drop where they take the picture of you? And then the last option here is better way to propose to your partner during a Zoom meeting with a bunch of mutual friends, or by simply changing your Facebook status to engaged.
I'll do the first one.
Okay. So that's Katie Dungar, bigger choking hazard, a ring in the glass of champagne, or a ring baked into your dessert.
Okay. It's got to be the ring in the dessert. That is the thing that you will choke on, because you actually, first of all, if you and I are significant others who have been dating for quite some time, and I order champagne, which is not only psychopaths drink champagne when they're not celebrating something. So if I've ordered us some champagne, and then you just take it and immediately just like shoot it back like that and start choking on the ring, that is on you. And that is probably a good sort of metaphor for how you're going to take our relationship very quickly, and it'll all be done. You sip on champagne, so you shouldn't have to choke on that at all. A choking hazard would be putting the ring in the cake, and also a bad idea. Like, who wants to get like their photo done after they get engaged? Cake.
I feel bad because you kind of like, when you were disparagingly describing the hypothetical person that would order champagne for no reason and then kick it back without even looking at it, you were kind of describing me. So I'm gonna come up with champagne is the bigger choking hazard, because I absolutely order anything bubbly. Yeah. Anything with bubbles in it, I'll get it. Anything, I'll pound it back. No question. I won't even look at the fucking glass to see if there's like a fruit fly in it or something. I don't know. Yeah, I would, at least with a cake, you kind of have to stab it with like a fork, so you have that little bit of resistance, like you have a chance to discover it before it enters your digestive system. With champagne, it's just like, let's go. I cede my time.
Oh, well then I guess it's fair that in you just sort of made fun of the way that I eat cake.
Oh no, Zach, you're frozen.
Wow,
Zach,
that's too bad.
if he freezes,
Hard seltzer, it has to come from the French region of hard seltzer.
Time.
That was even funnier because you cut out for like 25 of the 30 seconds. I mean, I also inhale cake, but there's like a third party appendage that you have to use. It's not just like receptacle to mouth. It's like receptacle to like utensil to mouth. So it's just that one little step that will save me from choking on a piece of jewelry baked into a cake. Also, who bakes jewelry?
Time. All right. Well, hey, again, you're both wonderful. You both win this round. You know, thanks so much for doing it. So let's check in on the Facebook poll right now. You guys voted for your winner, and you chose your winner for this evening. And our winner of the weddings debate is Chloe Cunha.
Yay. So I mean, I have to get married? Is that
2
what's
weeks in a row, right, Chloe?
Say what?
2 weeks in a row.
I know. Oh yeah, I guess so. I've never done that before. Damn.
You're on a roll.
Whoever catches the
Yeah.
bouquet has to win next week.
I was actually there was really a spider in my bed. It was very alarming. But I got it.
That
I
gave
got
you
it.
that adrenaline shot that you needed to
I
debate
guess
even
so.
better.
I don't know half the words I said. I was like, the show must go on. Cool. Thanks.
Nice.
Bloodlust is good for you.
Yeah. So wedding planners take note.
All right. Well, congrats on winning, Chloe. Thanks to everybody else for doing the show tonight. It was a good time.
Always a debater, never a winner, right?
What?
For
Oh,
pick
right.
side. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a good time. It was great to see you all. I think Sarah's gonna play the outro music. We can all just kind of mute ourselves for a minute and then probably say goodbye on the other side if you want to hang out. Bye, everybody.
Pick a side, yeah. Pick a side, just pick a side, stupid. Pick a side. Pick a side, just pick a side, stupid. Pick a side, yeah. Pick a side, just pick a side, stupid. Pick a side. Pick a side, just pick a side, stupid. Pick a side, yeah. Pick a side, just pick a side.